everyone, welcome to my new channel, Dragin It Out. I am Shona as your teeth for this channel, and this is dedicated to RuPaul's Drag Race UK, and I will be taking it forward from season 5, but I am going to be doing a recap from season 1 to season 4 for anyone who just wants to relive it all again, and for anyone who's never watched it, who is either just starting to watch it or just wants a recap, basically. So I'm just going to start from the very beginning and let's relive the magic all over again. So season 1 started in 2019, and it took 5 years for Ru and Michelle to convince someone in the UK to basically bring it to the UK. And in Michelle's words, it took the BBC to grow a set of balls and bring it over here finally. 5 years it took them, and the BBC snapped it up. It went on BBC 3, but it went on BBC. And British queens are very different from American queens. So obviously America had been going for quite a wee while before obviously Britain took it on. American queens, to me, so everything in this podcast is basically all my thoughts. It's all my thoughts basically that have been running through my head since the inception of RuPaul. Now, I only get into RuPaul when I first got sober, so that was 2017, and I basically dove 2 feet in and haven't stopped watching it since. Watch it on replay, watch it. It's never off my telly, basically. Like, Craig's just like, again, whether it be the American one, whether it be the British one. I've tried to watch the one with subtitles. I find it really difficult, only because I don't get the same feeling sometimes. I watch the Australian one, which to me is a hard watch sometimes. The last Australian one I watched, they did the reading challenge, which is obviously the library's open, and it was the pit crew that won. He never opened his mouth the whole way through. So it just shows you that not every queen can read. So reading, for anyone who doesn't know what that means, is basically cut a bitch. No, it doesn't. It means basically like to throw shade at a queen, basically means being cheeky towards them, whether it's about their appearance, whether it's about them being blonde and being dumb and things like that, or reading their drag in the sense like maybe something doesn't fit them, or they don't paint their face properly, which means their makeup's shit or whatever. So these Australian queens basically couldn't read each other. So it was pretty dire, to be fair. So yeah, and this is another thing about this podcast, it won't be edited or anything like that. It's literally just me brain dumping all these thoughts. So the difference between American queens and British queens is American queens are very pageanty, in my opinion. They're very pageanty, they're very put together. They care very much about their appearance, more so than anything else. They don't particularly want to look like they are making a fool of themselves or anything like that. Whereas British queens, in my opinion, are very campy. So what we see when we go to panto and things like that, to me, is a definition of British drag. It's very campy, it's very tongue-in-cheek, it's very cheeky, it's ooh ah, how's your father? It's very over the top. It's funny. It's not ball gowns and pageants and things like that. Michelle Visage's words were, it's the fundamental production and presentation is what queens rely on. She's not saying that British American queens don't rely on production, but the British queens do, basically. So we love to I'm not a drag queen, but I mean I look like one just now, my daughter says. The whole point, obviously, is that they love to put on a production. They are really over the top in everything that they do, and that's what it's all about, in my opinion. So UK Drag Race is very much like that. The difference between UK Drag Race and American Drag Race is, for challenges, they don't get paid money. So when they win mini challenges, they get paid in gift vouchers or things like that. And if they win a main challenge in America, they get paid $5,000. In the UK, they get this, which is a very miniature version, and it's called a repeater badge, and it's very, very treasured in the workroom, and it's obviously very collectible for the queens. But yeah, there's $5,000 to be won in America, or there's badges to be won in the UK. I mean, difference. Now, I'm guessing that it's to do with tax or something like that, because in Australia they get money for winning main challenges and things like that. But I mean, if you've made it in RuPaul's Drag Race, you've made it, basically. So getting a badge for a main challenge is treasure enough, let's be honest. So they started in 2019 after 5 years of someone basically having the balls to say yes, they'll take it. So BBC Three took it, and they started off filming in Mill Studio, and then in season 2 they moved to Pinewood Studio, where James Bond was filmed, and that's where it's been filmed ever since. So what happens is Queen's audition. Every queen needs to audition. So for instance, the Vivian, which is probably a name that most of you have heard of. If you're watching this, most of you have probably heard of the Vivian. She was most recently on Dancing on Ice this year. In 2016, she was crowned UK Ambassador, which is a big drag title. So RuPaul actually gives that title out, but she still had to audition the same as any other queen to be on RuPaul's Drag Race, first one. So they all audition, and then they obviously get notification that they've been successful. They then have to keep their trap shut. They're not allowed to tell anybody that they have been successful. So they're not allowed to tell friends and family anything. And basically then they disappear. That's it. They disappear. They need to tell their friends and family they have qualified for another competition or whatever. And they go away and they go on Drag Race. When they go into Drag Race, they are cut off from the outside world. They are not allowed communication with the outside world, nothing at all. So it's a very lonely place for them to be. They are only with the other queens and the crew round about them and things like that. Even when they go back to the hotel room and things like that, they're not allowed any contact. So it's a very lonely place for them. And in some instances, in season 1 in particular, you had the Vivian coming out to say that she was in recovery from drugs and I'm pretty sure it was alcohol, but drugs especially. So I can only imagine from someone in recovery themselves what type of emotions that she was going through, because she's in an environment that she was never. It's obviously a very unprecedented environment. Like, it's nothing you would ever experience, I suppose, or nothing you could ever imagine an experience, and being away from home, being cut off from your support network and things like that. In recovery, like all the people that are usually round about you if you're having a difficult day or whatever. And then who do you speak to? But knowing Rue, not personally knowing Rue, but obviously Rue is really open about, obviously he's in active recovery and things like that. He'll have all that support in place for the Queens and all that as well, but it's not the same as having your own community round about you. So yeah, so they are taken away, and that's it, they're cut off basically. Queens like to have about 4 hours to get ready for any event, really, whether it's, I suppose, down the pub, in a club, doing whatever Queens do, I suppose, for any event. And when we watch it on the telly, they get like obviously a certain amount of time to get ready, and the way they edit it, like they're having like chats and things like that, but in reality they've got 90 minutes, and that's to get ready for like the main stage. So 4 hours to 90 minutes is a big jump, I suppose. And if they're not used to that, or they don't know that that's obviously the case, then that's a bit of pressure to obviously get ready in these circumstances. And if you're used to getting ready on your own and things like that, and then being in a workroom with a whole load of other Queens, and obviously with the lights and the cameramen and people telling you to hurry up and things like that, I can only imagine how daunting that may be. When one of the first Queens went in, Blue Hydrangea, in 2019, she's Irish, and gay marriage was still illegal then. So that was one of the first things that was spoke about. And looking back now, like rewatching it, you think, my God, like that's just something that was that only in 2019 kind of thing. And there will be a lot of spoilers in this episode, only because it's old and things have moved on so quickly. But Blue Hydrangea went into UK versus was it UK versus the world, or yeah, it was UK versus the world, and that was only in like 2021 or something, and obviously things had moved so quickly since then, and they had a different discussion obviously since then, because it had been brought up that obviously in 2019 when she was on Drag Race, they had the conversation that it was still illegal in Ireland not to obviously be married and things like that. So just shows you how quick things had changed for them. When they obviously get word that they have been successful and they're going obviously into the workroom, they don't know what other Queens are going to be there. So if you ever watch the American one and they go in, you see that they go, oh, I knew you were going to be here, bitch. No. And the UK one, it's very different because the community is actually a lot smaller because we don't have as many drag queens, although we do have a lot of drag queens, but the community seems a lot smaller, like they're more spread out, that they know who they are, but it's as if, oh, I didn't expect you to be here, or they don't actually indicate that they thought that they were. But I think we'll see that change as the seasons go on, because it's obviously getting more recognised. I think after season 1, we didn't know if there was going to be a season 2, and then it's actually followed really, really quickly from season 1, season 2. There's actually not been much of a break in between the seasons. So I think we'll see the recognition of the Queen when they walk in. It'll be, I knew you were going to be here, bitch, as the seasons go on. Another thing, so I've went into the trivia quite quickly, and it's only because it's the things that people don't really know. They walk the runway twice, so I've probably done it a bit arse tailbore, so they probably gave you the setup of how the show actually goes, but if I tell you the trivia, the setup probably then makes more sense. But when they do the main stage at like on the main challenge, they walk the runway twice. So they walk out with the music, and it gives the judges a chance to actually see what the contestant's wearing. So when the Queen comes out, when the Queen comes out, the judges can see what they're wearing. And then that sort of gives the judges an idea of what their comeback's going to be. So, for instance, if a Queen's walking down and there was this one particular look, right, and I'll refer to this look, but it was an American Queen, right, and it was Lala Del Rey, and she walked down the runway and she had this gold lamaze like dress thing on, and it was belted in at the waist, right, and it came out at the top and it like zhuzhed out at the bottom, right? And you know how in Quality Street you get the toffee coin, right, where it's like at the top and then it's like this round thing and then it goes out at the bottom. Now, Lala Del Rey didn't look like a ball in the middle, but at the top it had like the zhuzhy bit, and then at the bottom it had the zhuzhy bit, right? So she walks round the corner and I was like, that, yeah, toffee coin. Now, if the software allows me, I will put up a picture of this, right? And hopefully you'll see what I mean, because honest to God, if I was a judge and she walked round the corner, now Michelle Visage and Alan Carr hopefully understood that assignment. Like, I don't even know what the theme was, right? But as the Queen walked round the corner the first time, that's what gives the judges the opportunity to form some sort of comment in their head, right? So they walk round the corner to the music and then they walk back up. The second time they walk down, there's no music, so that the judges can then obviously make their shady comment or snide comment or funny comment, depending on how it comes across, kind of thing. The Queen then tries not to react, I suppose. Very rare does a Queen react to what the judges say. So the judges actually sit quite far back from the main stage, so I don't know if the Queens could hear them, if you know what I mean. And me. So sometimes you'll hear them like sort of say something back. So they walk the runway twice. So I can imagine it being a very, very long day for them. And I know it's a long day. I've read the interviews of the Queens saying like it's edited very, very clever so that it is obviously down to like a 60-minute show for us, although it's obviously filmed over 3-4 days sometimes. And the one that seems to burst people's bubble, and I'm sorry if it does this for you, but when it comes to the finale, it is filmed as if every queen has won, and then it plays on the night that it's due to air, and it's only then does all the queens who are in the finale find out who's actually won. So say, for instance, it's Maggie, Sarah and Kelly who are in the final. They'll film the finale with Maggie, Sarah and Kelly all winning separately, and then they'll air one of the episodes on that night, and basically the three of them will watch it probably together at a big party, and it's only then they'll find out who's actually won. So that sort of burst my bubble when I found out. It definitely burst my daughter's bubble. She's like, I don't know how you could watch it then, knowing like that they find out at the same time as you. And I was like, well, it doesn't really matter. She went, but their reaction's not genuine. And I was like, well, it sort of is. They're drag queens. Like, they sort of need to, that's what they do, is they act. Like, a drag persona is an act. So, of course, they're going to act as if they've just won, because technically that's how they are going to feel if they've actually just won, because the prize in the UK is the production team for RuPaul's Drag Race UK is to go to Hollywood and film their own mini-series, regardless of what it is, or if it's not Hollywood, it's wherever they want to film it. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome. And the last bit of trivia is that RuPaul's got his own channel. It's called WOW, World of Wonder. Well, WOW, but it's World of Wonder. And it's got every RuPaul thing you could think of. So any queen that's ever made like a documentary, a series or anything like that. So any queen who's made it after RuPaul's Drag Race or hasn't made it. So Vanessa Vanjie from America, who was one of the first queens ever to be voted out of a series, who walked off backwards going, Vanjie, Miss Vanjie, Miss Vanjie. She came back the following season. She made it huge. She ended up with a dating thing. You've got Alyssa Edwards, who has had multiple series. She's still sitting on a secret. She's got multiple. Candy Muse, who's huge. Jimbo, who's just won. What did he win? UK versus the world? America versus... No, it wasn't America versus the world. He's just won. Can't remember what he just won, but that was his third time trying to win. He's nearly getting as bad as Jujubee. He's now got a series out. There's so many. Big Frida, she's never been in Drag Race, but she's got her own series. They've all got Katya and Trixie Mattel, but Katya's teamed up with somebody else. They've all got... So, obviously, Drag Race fans, or honestly, it's called World of Wonder. That's where you'll find everything. So yeah, so that's all your trivia. So if I've burst your bubble and you don't want to hear anymore, totally fine, switch off. But next episode is your format. That's what we'll do. That's your next episode. So your format of what an episode actually entails. We'll go through that, and hopefully if I've no bored you to tears, you'll tune into that. So I hope that's given you a wee flavour of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I hope you've enjoyed it. See you later. Bye.